Hello everyone, this is Australian Motorcycle News. My name is Peter Bom and this is the update from what happens on the Friday in Austin, America at the MotoGP race. Friday, important day because that's the base for the whole weekend, and the day started wet, which is special. You know, Friday in the morning we have the free practice session, in the afternoon we have the first official practice session where you have to be in the top 10 now. Let's start with a little bit about the track, because the Austin racetrack is quite interesting track. It's got everything. So it's long, it's fast, it has long braking areas, it has hard acceleration zones, especially the first sector is very interesting with quick change of directions on high speed, very physical at the same time. And it's counterclockwise, which not many tracks do over the world. So you cannot make a setup just for Austin, because your bike in Austin needs to be good at more or less everything. But since it's a track that we visit only once a year and it's long, very wide, quite special, you see that on this type of tracks some riders excel and some riders struggle a lot. First of all, let's put it on the table. This is Marc Marquez's favorite track, together with Sachsenring in Germany. When he's not wounded, injured or the bike stops, he's winning here for years in a row. But that's not the only thing I want to say, because he does that on some more laps. Look at the winners in Austin usually. These are, it's a weird track, it's a strange track, so we also have a lot of unusual winners here. Alex Rins won here twice on two different manufacturers. He was on Suzuki once and he won it on the Honda, when the Honda was not supposed to be the bike to win. But when you as a rider, when you really understand Austin as a racetrack, you can make the difference as a rider. It's, of course, your setup has to be right, but you can compromise a lot by being a bit of a special rider. Austin rewards brave and technical riders. So, like I said, Marc Marquez is always faster, and later on that more, because today was another Marc Marquez show. But like I said, we have special people winning in normal. One of the things that is also quite special in this track, if you watch it on television, pay attention and over the start-finish line on the braking area for turn 1, because that's really something special. You got the start-finish straight, not very long, and then they go 40 meters up while braking. That's for the riders like a wall of tarmac that they run into. Front forks wheel, bottom, whatever you do, it's a very special braking area. From a quite high speed, long time braking up the hill, and then suddenly when you're up, it flattens out. So it's quite a difficult thing. 40 meters up, 40 meters down. What happened today in the session? First free practice session, completely wet. But the weather forecast for Saturday is good, for Sunday is sure good, so it's not a very important session, but at the same time, it's interesting to see which manufacturers are fast in the wet. Because I say manufacturers because obviously you need a rider that is capable and able to do it in the wet, but also some bikes are just a lot better than other bikes in the wet. And the bike that was not very good, basically all day, and especially in the wet, was the Aprilia. Now, Aprilia is a manufacturer that created, for the second year at least in a row, a very interesting bike, which I think has a lot of potential. But too many times with Aprilia there is weird things that are just not there. This morning in the cold and miserable wet session, bikes didn't start, bikes stopped, bikes were 8 seconds too slow. That's not a rider that doesn't understand the wet. So it's not yet there at Aprilia, and without Jorge Martin they don't have a leader, they don't have a captain, so difficult day, all day basically for Aprilia. So like I said, the wet session, it's interesting, but it's more, especially if the weather forecast is clear, that it's going to be dry on Saturday, Sunday, so the riders go out on Friday, but make sure you don't crash, you don't hurt yourself, you just pick up some information, because 90% sure you not have a wet race at all. The good thing from having a wet session is you don't waste any soft rear tires. So if only the first free session is wet, then you have more soft tires for the rest of the weekend. Now this afternoon was practice 1, and that's where the riders have to be in the top 10. In the end, in the last 50 minutes, it's mental. You have to be in the top 10 to make sure you go straight to Q2, which is everybody's target. Because if you're not straight in Q2, your whole weekend is compromised, and it's going to be quite likely very difficult. So there's already a lot of pressure at the end of the first day. But what happened is the track didn't dry out completely. So The practice one session, in the last 50 minutes, the track was still drying. Had some wet patches. Everybody was out on slicks, but it was not possible to do the really, really good lap time. Now, these are the conditions when some riders love it. Jack Miller loves it, Marc Marquez loves it, some people hate it, because every lap the track has changed a little bit. It gets better, better, better all the time, but you don't want to overdo it. There's still a couple of seconds from the really good lap time, but every second, every lap, the track gets a little bit better. It was drying out, which is a very difficult situation to do, like what I call a pre-qualifying on Friday afternoon on a drying track. It's so difficult for a rider. It's a lot of stress. The standout man from today, Marc Marquez. I hate to say it because he's already always good in these conditions and in Austin, but this was a masterclass. When he was on the track, he was always half a second or more faster than everybody else. Only when he was waiting in the track to see what the conditions were, everybody else could come up. He went out. He was fastest by 0.7 seconds to number 2, which is a huge step. Can only happen on a drying track, but it shows that Marc is so at ease and so completely one with the 2025 Ducati. It's a joy to watch. Very, very special. The other joy to watch was Jack Miller. Most of the time when he was on track, he was close to Marc, or at least in second place. So Jack on the Yamaha, which at the moment is not the best bike to have, showed that when the rider really understands the track and the conditions are a little bit tricky, guys like Marc Marquez, but also Jack Miller can make a huge difference. In the end, he finished in P6, but still the first Yamaha, so that was a really positive surprise for him to be there. Because like I said, you need to be in the top 10. So the top 10 in the end, Marc Marquez, 0.7 faster than everybody else. The whole top 10 covered 1.5 seconds, which is a lot. But be honest, 0.7, what Marc had to number 2 is normally what covers the whole top 15, not even the top 10. So he made a huge difference by himself alone. And that was not just a one lap in the end. Every time when he was on track, he was a lot faster than everybody else. Fabio Di Giannantonio in place 2, Franco Morbidelli in P3, Alex Marquez in P4, it's all Ducati, Ducati, Ducati. Fermin Aldeguer in P5, which is really good because, don't forget, it's a rookie. Rookies have a lot to learn, and then you put a rookie in the third MotoGP race on a drying track, which is not dry, not wet, soft medium, soft slick tires, what to do. I'm very, very impressed what he did today, Fermin Aldeguer as a rookie. Like I said, Jack Miller in 6, Pedro Acosta the first Aprilia in 7. Remember Pedro Acosta, the guy that was so close to winning his first race here. He did a really, really good weekend last year on the KTM here. Unfortunately, KTM didn't do a lot of improvements over the winter due to the problems that we all know that KTM had. At least he is the fastest KTM in P7 today. Maverick Vinales on the KTM, so far this year, invisible. Very difficult for him to be anywhere with the KTM. But Maverick is another rider that understands this track very, very well. So even on the KTM, which he don't understand yet completely, he's in his beloved Austin. He won here last year, the sprint and the race. He understands Austin very well. Him and the KTM in P8, so they're in the top 10. Johan Mir, first Honda, P9, also in the top 10. And the guy in number 10, Pecco Bagnaia, is the guy that is supposed to fight for the World Championship with Marc Marquez this year. He just made it, what do you say in English? With the skin of your teeth or something? He's the last guy that goes to P2, so big relief, but also not very good for your confidence if you're supposed to fight for the World Championship and you just made it into Q2. So that's it from today, from the Friday. So this wet weather and then this drying condition of Friday afternoon changed a lot. We have quite some guys that we expected to be a little bit more up the front, not really there. Like Zarco, so close to be in the top 10, and with 3 minutes to go he crashed, and then it's just too late to go out, get another bike. And in the last minutes, like I said, every lap the track got a little bit better, so he missed the sweet spot. Otherwise he was also being in the top 10. This brings me to tomorrow, Saturday. Tomorrow morning is an hour session where the riders can try different setups, make some more changes, and then in the afternoon we have the sprint race. Now, you don't want to miss the sprint race in Austin unless you have forgotten what happened last year. Last year was the sprint and the main race. Unbelievably, somehow this track often brings really, really good races. And even if it looks like it's going to be a walkover for Marc Marquez, it doesn't prevent me from watching, because a genius like Marc, as he is so far this year, is also a joy to watch. Normally he's going to win it, But when everything says you're going to win it, it's so easy to not win it. So I'm not going to miss the sprint race tomorrow afternoon. Before we have that, obviously we have qualifying 1. 2 guys can go to qualifying 2, and the 2 people that needs to go there will be Fabio Quartararo in P11, the first guy that is not in Q2 at the moment. Brad Binder also very, very close to it. I expect these 2 guys to make the step, but can easily be Ayagura, who is in P14, just so close to being the best Aprilias together with Bezzecchi. It will be tight in qualifying 1. After qualifying 2, we see the sprint race. Like I said, don't miss a sprint race, because normally that's always a big spectacle. And that's it from me from today. Actually, in case it interests you, this time this recording is done from, where am I? Portugal, at Portimao with the World Superbike races. I'm like an advisor role I have in the World Supersport team this year, the team that has a Ducati V2 in the Supersport, and they have a very young rider who was in the top 3 in the Supersport 300 last year, and the kid, it's really still a young kid, struggles a little bit to get up to speed on the big bike in the Supersport, and the team hired me like a consultant function here as a rider coach and try to help them over the weekend, which I love to do. So it wasn't really planned, but suddenly we changed the plans and now I'm here in my luxury hotel room in Portugal. All day on the racetrack in Portimao, which is another spectacular racetrack. Watch until the MotoGP gets back here this year. So, hello from Portugal and see you back tomorrow with the summary of the Saturday. Thanks for watching.